Well, good morning. This is the Red Leg A1 coming to you from the Peaceful Glen Homestead out here in Central Virginia. And I want to take a minute to go through this is like part two of my rocket mass heater failure. And I'm going to use this stick right here to point things out. All right, so this piece of pipe right here is an 8-inch piece of just galvanized standard air duct. That back there is the riser for the chimney, and the chimney went up there. This piece right here, this is the heat transfer earth mass, and I've said a lot about how I made it and what I got going on in there, so I won't take time to do that. But if you notice the barrel, the riser barrel is gone, and the burn chamber and the burn tunnel's gone. Empty space here. And what happened? Well, I think it's important that when we make mistakes and we have failures, that we let these things sink in and not make a big deal about it. Just try to figure out what happened and why did it happen. Also want you to notice right here, that's an 8-inch cap, and I can just pry that off, and that gives me access to the front side of the heat transfer duct bank. And then back over there, I have another one. You can almost see it there, right there. So across the front of this duct bank, I have access to the whole thing, and it's probably between this cover and that cover is probably 9.5 feet. So I couldn't reach all the way through there, and I couldn't really stick my head in there and see what's going on. But right here, when I pulled the point I was trying to make here is that I did check it to make sure that everything was clear. When I look back this way, back towards this piece of pipe, it was very, very dark, and I couldn't really see much. Couldn't get my head through there, and I could only see probably at an angle of about right there. But when I pulled all this apart and deconstructed it and moved it out of the way, I found a mouse family had moved in here and created a nest. And I mean, it was loaded with leaves and straw and gosh, whatever, they could pick up and carry down through their little tunnels. And if you look right here, okay, there's the tunnel that they used to get up into this thing. And this whole spot right here was excavated. And where'd the excavations go? But inside of my duct bank. And it was piled up to the point where it gave me about a 2-inch opening at the top of this piece of pipe. So, and we're not talking about some little teeny mouse. This thing, it wasn't a rat, okay, but it was a very large mouse. It had been living in here. God knows how long it had been living in here. So, pulled all that apart, scooped it out, dug it out, and that was 3 weeks ago. Excuse me. Have a tickle in my throat. What I'm going to do now is I need to be able to continue to use this heat transfer earth mass, and I'm going to repipe from this 45-degree angle back to about right here, and then I'm going to 45 straight back into that piece of plywood wall. This riser for the chimney's coming out, and that's going to move back to here, so that chimney will go up right about through there, and then it'll 45 degree over and outside of the greenhouse, so I can still get some use out of this. Now, where am I going to put the riser barrel, the heat, the burn chamber, and the burn tunnel? But I'm going to go over here on the left side of the greenhouse, which has not had any heat in it for the last 3 years. And I'm going to come to this little kind of nook right here, this little cubby hole. Some chicken nest boxes. I had my vermicomposting bin set up right here. So it was about that tall and fit right in that corner perfectly. And then I used the bottom place down here to stuff some feed bins and so forth. So this chicken nesting box area is coming out, and this whole wall will be closed in. You can look down in there. The chickens are all out now, but that's where they go up into at night. And I'll go ahead and rebuild my all the burn tunnel, burn chamber, and the riser and everything right here. And then I'll make a transition right about here, and then come through this wall, and then reconnect with the pipe on the other side of the wall. That way, if there's any kind of blowback, it'll be on this side where I have much greater ventilation going on and less likely to kill my plants. These two tanks right here are 250-gallon IBC tanks, which the top 1/3 of it will come off, and I'll turn them upside down and they'll become my grow beds. And the rest of this is basically my feed area and feed bins and so forth, and storage and all that. So I think I have a better opportunity to utilize two separate components of a rocket mass heater. You've got the instantaneous heat that you can get off of the barrel, and then you have the stored heat in your earth mass. So I'm going to give this a try, and I think that my main takeaway from this experience is, I'm an older guy, and I'm looking at I'm 61 years old, and I've got a lot of experience past me, but that doesn't mean that I'm perfect and I don't make mistakes. But when I do make mistakes, I've learned not to get overly emotional or anxious about the mistake, but rather I've come to a point that I think that, hey Joe, hold on to this right here. All right. So I think that what I'd like for you to take away from my experience is, when you make a mistake, don't worry about it, okay? You ponder the mistake, you make notes, you sit down and you meditate about it, you cogitate about it. It's been 3 weeks that I've been thinking about this. So the reality of it is that it's probably been about a week that I've come to this conclusion of redesigning and rebuilding the rocket mass heater so that I can get use from the two separate components of a rocket mass heater. And that's what you've got going on. You've got instantaneous heat, and then you have stored heat. So the greenhouse, I think, is really designed better for stored heat. And then this other piece out here, it's more of an active area where I won't have as many plants growing in there. I will have some of my aquaponics will be set up there, but not the entire system. So if I have some smoke blowback, it's probably an area where I have greater chance of ventilation to get the smoke out of that particular piece of the building. So that's what I want to say about that. I appreciate you paying attention, and this is the Redleg A1 out here for today. Have a good one. Bye-bye.